Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action-packed session. We're doing a live Q&A today. So if you have questions, I'm here to answer them. Once again, if you're new to the channel, to the platform, like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment that says, I subscribed, and I will send you instant access to our free real estate training that'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. You don't want to miss out on that free offer. So I have a bunch of stuff for you guys today. As always, leave a comment in the chat. If just drop a comment if you have any questions. If you want to hop on live, because I got this request from some of you, want to come up on the stage and talk with me as well. I left a link in the description, so you can click on that link and you can join me live as well and ask a question live, or just leave a comment and we'll address your questions as they come. So I wanted to not take too much time today to do a market update, because I want to answer a lot of your questions, but I have a quick resource that I want to share with you guys that I thought was interesting, and it's this housing shortage tracker. So I also put a link in the description to the shortage tracker, so you guys can check it out. Keep this as a resource for yourselves. But what this tracks is, it's a housing shortage tracker, and it's computing a ratio between how many permits are issued for every new job that pops up in a metropolitan area. And the reason why this is important is because jobs in many ways are driving the market right now. In cities and metro areas where there are a high density of jobs, the market is pretty strong, which is why we're seeing a lot of strength in the Northeast. Jobs are very strong there. They haven't really left in terms of the industries that are dominating those spaces, and it stabilizes the market. So you'll see as we get into this that it kind of fits that narrative of why the Northeast is pretty solid. But based on a historical average, for every one permit that is issued, there are 2 new jobs. So it's showing for every 2 jobs that are created within an area, there's usually supposed to be 1 permit for a single family housing resident that is created. So that is the average. The further you get away from that average, you start to get into this deeper and deeper into the housing shortage type of a ratio. So what we're seeing in this tracker, which just has a map of the entire US, the extremely dark red areas, it's almost like a deep burgundy. These areas are where we have the highest housing shortage. As we get into the blues, they have a sufficient ratio. They're at that 1 permit to every 2 new jobs created ratio, which means there's not really a shortage. But as you get into the Northeast, as you guys can see, we start to get, let me kind of zoom in a little bit. We start to get into this kind of area where everything is in this deep red in the Northeast pocket. Philly, Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Baltimore, all the way up through Boston, Hartford, Connecticut, Rochester, New York, all the way out to Chicago and some of the Illinois areas, Detroit, certainly. You're seeing kind of these market trends, right? So this is showing you these markets are where there's a very high housing shortage. And the form of that housing shortage is workforce housing, because it's directly connected to jobs. So workforce housing is at an extreme shortage in a lot of these pockets. And when workforce housing is at a shortage, it gives you an opportunity to go in and create value. So you guys want to use a map like this, use a tool like this to pay attention to the market trends, see which markets you can focus in, especially if you're going to create affordable housing or workforce housing. You want to follow these types of trends. So this is a resource. You guys are always asking me for different tools or resources. This is one that you should definitely kind of save in on your desktop and keep handy. But I want to get into some of the questions that I've been receiving throughout the week. Certainly, if you guys have questions, drop the comment. I'm going to address your questions as they're listed. But if you guys don't have a ton of questions, I'm going to run through some of the questions I've been getting and see if we can get some value out of these as well. So the first question I've gotten is, let me pop this thing up. The first question we've gotten is, are property inspections bulletproof? Do they cover everything, or do they still leave gaps? And this is a good question for like a new investor. If you go out and you're looking at properties, you're going to hire a property inspector at some point. And when you hire that inspector, you're thinking, well, can I really rely on this person? How reliable are they? Is this bulletproof? Are they just going to come into the house and find everything wrong with it, and I have nothing to worry about? Not really. A property inspector, especially when you're new, they're going to be way more knowledgeable than you. So I recommend, as a rule of thumb, walk through that property with them. Never hire a property inspector and don't show up to that inspection. Why pay somebody $500 who has probably 20 years experience or 10 years of experience, viewing properties, finding things wrong with them, and not shadow them? So I recommend hire them, pay them that $500 or whatever the inspection fee is, but you want to get your money's worth. So I'm going to shadow that person through the house. I'm going to follow them with like a notepad. I might pull out my smartphone, record them if they're saying good stuff. I'm asking them questions. I'm picking their brain. I'm probably annoying them the entire time, but I'm learning. I'm picking up like a decade's worth of knowledge or whatever I can get. But even with that inspection, the problem still is they're not a contractor. So even though they can find certain things wrong, they're going to miss maybe big structural issues. They can miss them. Things that are behind the walls, a property inspector can only see what's in front of them, which is extremely limited. I would say almost 90% of the issues with the property are behind the sheetrock. They're behind the walls. So you can't necessarily see it, which is why when I invest, I like to go after full gut rehab properties that are in shell condition. When they're in a shell condition already, the walls are open, the issues are visible, they're obvious, and you know what you're getting yourself into, most of the time, and you will have a labor budget or a rehab budget that can meet the demand of that project. But these inspections, they're not bulletproof. They're not perfect inspections. So you have to take them with a grain of salt. The inspector's job is to find everything wrong that they can reasonably find wrong, but to a degree, right? So they're going to go in and give you enough to negotiate against the seller. They're going to point out things that might not even be a big deal at times, but they are going to miss a lot of stuff. So it is not like the end all be all. It is not bulletproof. There are gaps because everything behind the wall is essentially a gap. So you need to kind of know that and keep that in mind. Another question we got: do you always need a real estate attorney to buy and sell houses? So you don't always need real estate attorneys when you're buying and selling properties. There are certain states, the caveat, certain states that require it. So it is state specific. So if I'm in a place like New York, pretty much all real estate transactions are done with a real estate attorney and a title company, somebody who's going to clear title. Then you'll have the attorney who's kind of doing that work as well. And the attorneys are negotiating and drafting contracts together. Everything's kind of custom tailored to the deal. That's not the case in a place like Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, most of these real estate transactions are done with boilerplate contracts. So you don't need an attorney at all. It's not even commonplace really to have a real estate attorney for that. Most of these real estate attorneys in PA are working on creative financing contracts, or they're dealing with evictions, landlord-tenant court, either working on behalf of the tenant, working on behalf of the landlord. So it's not necessarily common practice on the kind of buy and sell side of things. So it just depends, but you don't necessarily need it. And the more sophisticated you become, especially when you're in these states with these boilerplate contracts, you really don't even need a realtor. I mean, a lot of these deals you could lock up yourself, put them under contract, and do just fine. Like there's not a lot of drama there. Next question. This was kind of a rehab related question. With windows, should you replace or repair windows on a rehab project? The answer to this one is it depends. It really depends on if you're going to buy and flip this property or buy and hold it. If you're going to buy and flip this property, I would recommend replacing any bad windows, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're just kind of nickel and diming the new buyer. They're coming in, they want to get a nice deal. You're asking them to pay a premium, but then you're cutting obvious corners like the windows, which you're going to see. Some windows can be repaired. Like if it's just the glass is busted out, you could take that to a repair shop and get it fixed. But you don't want to try to like repair super old windows that are, frosted out. They're just dogged and they're 20, 30 years old. They need to be replaced. Just replace them. Now, if you're on a rental property and you're doing like a Section 8, you want to you want to repair everything. You want to repair as much as possible. The cost differential between a replacement and a repair, if you're going to replace a window, on average, I would put it around like $250 on average per window. And that doesn't include labor. That's just the cost of getting a custom window, specially made for your project. You could get some type of standard window sizes if that is going to fit your deal, and you can get those from Home Depot, Lowe's, or a window supply shop. They'll just kind of have them in stock. But if that's not the case, you're going to have to special order about $250 per window on average. Now, if you're going to do like a repair, you might be able to take an old window, take it to a glass repair shop and get it fixed up for, $50, $60. Pop the windows out, get them repaired, pop them back in. That's very cheap labor, very fast, doesn't require measuring or, a bunch of drama. And that's going to save you a lot of money on a rehab, especially, I would say the average 2-story property may have close to 15 to 17 windows, like somewhere around there. I would put it around 15. So you can do the math, 15 times 250 versus 15 times 50, 60. And if you're repairing, I doubt that all 15 windows would need to be repaired anyway. So you can pick up some pretty big savings there. So that kind of answers that. And we have another window question I'll address. We got a question from Marcus, who just popped in. And once again, guys, if you're new, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribed. I'll send you access to a free training. And if you want to hop up and ask a question live and kind of jump on the stage, I left a link in the description. You just have to click that link and you can, get in the waiting room. I'll bring you guys on. You can ask a question kind of live as well. I know some of you like to do that. So I just left that link for you guys. Just check it in the description. What should you do if hard money caps you at 150K? Should you partner up with someone for more leverage, or is there another option to combine with a hard money cap? Here's my thing with hard money lenders. Hard money lenders are, I don't know if arrogant is the right word for it, but they think they're the only show in town. I've never met a hard money lender who doesn't think that everyone's desperate and everyone needs them so badly and that they're the only show in town. They truly believe in their head that they're the only lender in town. So if they say no, you just can't do deals and you're just kind of garbage, or they put you at a 150 cap and that's kind of it. And if, you don't go with us, then you just won't do business and our underwriters are the best and we know everything. The reality is there's a bazillion lenders. They're all in the business of lending money. I've had lenders tell me no, early in the business. I've had lenders underwrite, multi-million-dollar deals and then back out at the closing table. 30 days from a cash out refinance, they back out from a multi-million-dollar deal. And I've just kind of left them. I just say, you know what? Fine. You say no. It's just, everything to me is the first no. Real estate, becoming a developer and getting good at this is all about hearing the word no and not caring. You have to be childlike. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. I tell them no maybe 150,000 times a day. And they still are just like, yes, I'm going to do it anyway. And you kind of have to keep that type of a mentality of, I'm going to go find my yes. Every no is just, it's kind of good because it sets barriers to entry. When you're hearing no, other people are going to hear no. They're going to quit. They're going to say, oh, the lender didn't believe in me. I quit. I'm going to stop. I guess this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not ready. I'll go save up more money. I'm going to save another 50K. I hear no, and I just say, all right, that's a barrier to entry. Somebody else, my competition, they're going to stop. I'm going to keep going until I get the yes. I'll go to 5, 6 lenders until I hear yes. And once I hear yes, I do the deal. And they'll say no 150 cap. Maybe they'll give me a $250,000 cap. There's always going to be some cap. But once I get that yes, and I do that deal, now I can come back to the other lenders. I can go back to the old lender and say, look, You said no to this deal. They said yes at a 250 cap. I got the deal done. They made 40 grand or 30 grand off of the deal, whatever they're making in terms of their fees and interest and points up front. I mean, these lenders are making big money off this stuff. It's not cheap, hard money. And you go back and then they're like, well, maybe we should have said yes. They say yes now. So even a no from one lender or a 150 cap from this lender that you're talking about, let them have their 150 cap. Go shop it around. Get a better deal, then come back to them. Are you guys sure? Don't take the first no. They just said no one time. So don't necessarily back off. Are you sure? They're going to do 250. You want to match them? You might want to think about it again. Come back in 6 months. Now they say, hey, he got the deal done. They might have you at $1 million cap now, because now you've proven that you could execute with their competition. So just don't take the first no. You could partner up with somebody. Certainly, you could partner up, kind of put your heads together, put your capital together, and maybe that lands you an extra deal or two. So that puts you in a better position. But just don't take the first no. The first no to me is funny. It's just like, they said no. Great. And then because I've heard no so many times, and then yes from the same people. Either a day later, a week later, 6 months later, a year later, they all say yes. They're just waiting for you to prove them wrong. So just keep pounding the table. But if you have to partner up and it makes sense, partner up. If not, do a smaller deal. Start small and then prove them wrong and then scale up. So just keep at it, and that door will kind of open for you. So we got another question from Lisa. Hi, Brian. Have you ever used Fund and Grow credit card company for your real estate deals? I haven't. I'm not I know there's a lot of kind of, guys that pound the table on funding your deals with credit cards kind of exclusively. I'm more of I like if you have a HELOC, if you have a primary residence and you can tap into a home equity line of credit and pull some money out and put that into deals. I like that. I'm not huge on credit cards in terms of teaching people how to do it. I'm not that big on it, only because it's a double-edged sword. Like, I will teach you how to leverage and wield hard money, but if you're not ready and you get stuck in a deal and you don't know how to navigate and get in and out quickly, you haven't learned developer speed, I don't want you to be on credit cards, like funding full deals. So I haven't used Fund and Grow. I'll definitely look into it and research it. If it's something that, you want to do, I could certainly advise on it and look into it and use my, my CFP, my financial planner hat. And, but it's not something that I've had to do. I've always tapped directly into hard money, and they just have, they have deep pockets. It's kind of, some of you guys, if you dig through maybe some of my videos, you'll hear me talk at times about the veil of money behind lenders who, a lender might have $1 million and that they leverage that into 10 million. And the person they get the 10 million from leverage their 10 million into 100 million. And then it goes all the way back up into somebody's 401k. There's like all these veils, but I've always levered hard money, and that has been enough. I haven't had to use credit cards for anything more than putting materials, or in some cases, if you can, labor on a credit card. Marcus, I see you in the waiting room. Just come on your camera. If you're going to come on live, you got to be on cam. Once I see you on cam, I'll bring you in. Make sure your mic is good, and I'll bring you up. I'm just going to address Lisa's question, and I'll bring you up. If anybody wants to hop on live, you just got to click the link in the description and hop in the waiting room. I'll bring you guys on. One more question: is a rooming house model a good startup for a new investor? It can be. I'm all about co-living. I'm all about creating workforce housing and putting people in a good position to save money, live affordably. There are millions of Americans on their parents' couch or living in the basement. And if you create this co-living housing, this shared housing, I even just dropped a video very recently, like 2 days ago, on mid-term rentals, which is a strategy where people are essentially room renting or doing co-living with traveling nurses who need, short mid-term leases, 3 to 6 month leases for these travel contracts. That is super profitable. The premiums on these midterm rentals are super profitable. So there are a lot of strategies if you get into kind of this co-living stuff or this room housing model stuff, where there's so much premium on it that it is safe. And it is, I mean, you could make $1,500, $2,000 a month per deal. So if you're, doing the numbers, how many deals do you need to do at $1,500 a month in pure cash flow after all expenses? How many of those deals do you need to do to break free from the 9 to 5? For most people, maybe it's, a handful. So let's keep this going. Who do you recommend to rent to nurses on what platform? I would say there's not necessarily a platform for nurses. So there are some websites I can send you that will have kind of nurses on them, and they're pretty much built just for nurses. So they have some kind of short-term platforms that are catered towards nurses. But even within those platforms, they don't always have a lot of volume, we'll say. So they're not in every city. They're not fully built out. It's kind of more like a Airbnb strategy still. It's not truly catered for these 3 to 6 month contracts. There are just very few landlords that want to offer 3 to 6 month contracts to people. So you just have to, kind of build this stuff, put it on the market, but put in your language, in your ad, in your rental ad, looking for nurses. You want to also buy around hospitals. So you're constantly building out this product. The best way to do it, though, is through word of mouth. So build around the hospital. You can put out flyers kind of in those hospital areas. You can reach out to different property management companies that will get contacted by these people, but they don't have a product for them. So it's kind of a build it and they will come. You could also create, in many ways with co-living, you can do some of this as well. You will create ads on like Facebook, Instagram, and put those out for like nurses. So you can target traveling nurses with this product because they are looking in abundance, and they will pay an extreme premium to get tapped in. So just know that, this stuff is kind of out there. Let me jump back into another question. So, and keep the questions coming if you guys have them. Just keep the questions coming. How much should I budget for windows on my rehab? So you just got a window count, really. It depends on every project. Like I said, if it's a buy and hold, just rental property, you're going to do a Section 8, you're going to do a cosmetic rehab on. You can do it one way. If it's a flip deal, you're just going to want to count the windows. If you're going to go in and full gut this thing, blow all the windows out, $250 per window will keep you very safe. There are some suppliers that go kind of way over that. There are some suppliers that are kind of super, under that mark. So you'll just have to kind of feel it out and go from there. Another question we have: should I pass on a deal that has black mold on the walls or in the basement? Not really. So these are some of the things that will scare new investors. I kind of like when I go into a property and I see, there's the roof's caving in, there's mold on the walls. There's all these issues that the average person hasn't really dealt with before, and they're just turned off by it. They'll just like, this isn't for me. They'll run out of the property. They don't have crews that can deal with it. They don't have, demolition teams that have dealt with it. Some of this stuff, you just go in, like black mold, you're going to see it a lot in dilapidated properties, because properties get broken down from water, from rain. So if there's a hole in the roof, it keeps raining. That water gets into the flooring, and it kind of dives straight down into your floors. Then it gets in the basement. Then it gets cold. Then it gets hot, and the water heats up, and it just creates mold in these damp areas. And when that happens, you're going to get these situations. You really just want to go in with bleach, water, and just hit that black mold. Have your guys mask up. They can hit it. Once they hit it, give it a day. It'll pretty much subdue that mold, kind of kill it. And then you can go back to demo as usual. But you want to make sure everybody's masked up. Everybody's, kind of being safe. So, that's just something you want to do, but you don't want to necessarily kill a deal just because of that, because you're going to run into it too often. And there's a lot of value in most of these deals. Studio. Let me go to the next question. Is down payment assistance worth the effort? Let me just get this guy out of here. Is down payment assistance worth the effort? I think so. Like, a lot of people don't necessarily think down payment assistance is worth the effort. In my opinion, it is worth the effort, because if you're just getting started, if you're going for a new deal, it's certainly worth the effort to get this DPA, to go out, apply, fill out the applications, take your time. I mean, a lot of us, we're in a rush, right? We're going to get our first deal. We've been thinking about it for a long time. We've been saving money. We really want to make this happen. We're in that rush. We kind of feel that anxiety to get this deal going. And the down payment assistance might take you 2-3 months to qualify for. In my opinion, it's better to just take that time and get that free money, because it's going to put you in a better position, where if you can get, $10,000-$15,000 in down payment assistance, or maybe all of the money that you would have had to pull out of your pocket and put down into this deal, you can get it from like a government fund, something that will be forgivable if you hold the property for 5-10 years, or you live in the property for a year. Some of them, will only last a year. You just live there for a year and it's all forgiven. That can be, worth the wait. So you don't want to be in a super rush and cut yourself out of money, because you can only use these down payment assistance programs in that first year. So it's something to, be conscious of, and kind of, make sure you're doing the right thing. Let's see if we have any more questions here. What's the best way to present yourself to a new lender? The best way to present yourself to a new lender, or to a lender as a new investor, is confidently. Like, it's kind of hard for me to give you guys that level of confidence as you're going to as you're a new investor going to a lender for the first time, and trying to build that relationship and say, hey, you should give me money. A lot of us, we don't have that confidence. We haven't done a full rehab yet, and we're not sure what the lender is looking for. So we just want to be like straightforward, upfront. Sometimes that will lead to us giving too much information, in my opinion, saying, way too much, telling, the lender more than they need to know, or answering questions that, they're not even asking us, giving them just way too much info. With a lender, you want to come off confident. Lenders by nature give money to people who look like they don't need it. So if you look like you don't need the money, or if you have a confidence that's like, I don't really need this, I'm kind of here, it's cool, they'll give you all the money. If you come off super nervous, which a lot of us will, they're just going to be shaky, even if you're qualified, even if you have the money, even if you're kind of good to go. So it's something where you just have to be, conscious of it. Have your numbers together. Talk to a mentor. Talk to somebody who's dealt with a lender before. Most lenders are only asking you for, on a hard money side at least, a personal financial statement. So they just want to know, like, what are your cash equivalents? How much cash do you have? Is your credit good? Like, is it in a ballpark? You don't have to have perfect credit. Is it 680 or above? So you just want to kind of, look at these things. And as long as you're good there, for the most part, they'll deal with you. They'll lend to you. But once again, it does take some practice. I mean, you might go in and say the wrong thing or give off the wrong energy, and then they give you that first no. And you just have to take it as a learning experience, kind of move on, go to the next deal, and make it happen for yourself. So that's kind of that. I'm not sure if we have any other questions out there or not. If anybody has any questions, let me know and we can keep going. If not, I appreciate you guys. That's kind of all we have there. Definitely use the resources once again that we dropped in the description. I'll put a couple more resources in there for you guys that I've had from over the years that'll help you guys to do some of your market analysis and research. I won't keep you all night. If you guys need me, you know how to reach me, and definitely tap into that free training. If you guys are looking to get started and just, really don't know where to go, make sure you tap into that free training. That'll show you how to acquire properties for pennies on the dollar all across the country. Leave a comment that says I subscribe, and I will send that right to you. And that's it. Hopefully this helped. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, about to sign off. Looks like we have maybe one more. Nope, just a thank you. So Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, tapping out. And I'll see you guys on the other side.